Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks. This time we have the pleasure of watching Pingu 7 play in his Tier 8 German tank destroyer, the JagdPanther II. Now this tank was introduced after the Ferdinand, which was the original Tier 8 German tank destroyer, but before the Borsig, the Rheinmetall Borsig, which has been introduced relatively recently, at least compared to the JagdPanther II. Now the speciality of this tank is it's a lot more mobile than the Ferdinand, and while its upper plate is okay as long as it's very well angled, its superstructure is very strong, as you can see the slanting on it. And Pingu is going to put that to good use. Now it gets the same gun that's used on the Ferdinand and the Borsig. It doesn't behave as well as it does on the Borsig, but as this tank is not open top, it can use ventilation, improve ventilation if you want, which can kind of compensate for the difference in the rate of fire between this and the Borsig. Now Pingu is going to show you just how fantastic the JagdPanther II is when it is hull down. Here he is engaging a T29 and a Black Prince. Now a T29, it's probably got about 200mm of penetration there if he's using the 105mm. And as we can see, the very well angled surface of the JagdPanther II, look at what these guys can see. It is so well angled. It's almost auto-bouncing. Now the JagdPanther II has got a very meaty 128mm, and this Tiger II, who got caught out of position, is seeing just that, as 2 shots from Pingu removes 61% of his hit points. Next up, he puts a side shot into the Super Pershing, which is a very valuable tank on the enemy team. Now there's no doubt that this matchup is lovely for Pingu. There are only 4 Tier 8 tanks on the enemy team, which means that his armor counts for a lot more than if, for example, he was against some Tier 9 or Tier 10 opponents. That shot was aimed a little high, went into the turret of the Tiger. Think he could have hit the mid-plate, and there he aims for the mid-plate, but both of the opponents pull back. Pingu 7 is rather annoyed by this, and chants out RNG, RNG, RNG 3 times in the chat. And he repeats it. But firing at the turret of a Black Prince is not the way to penetrate using this rather meaty 128mm. It does have, I believe, 246, yep, 246mm of penetration. And one thing I'm surprised about is either Pingu has found himself a very nice position, or this tank has a reasonable amount of gun depression. As he finishes off that Tiger, he is already up to 4,000 damage 3 minutes into the game. He has taken, I'd say, about 10 to 15 shots from the enemy, and he hasn't lost 1 hit point of damage. He is single-handedly holding back an entire enemy advance. Well, maybe it's a bit too bold to say that at the moment, but as the IS-3 in front of him gets ammo-racked, his situation certainly becomes a lot more grave. He has a Super Pershing, an IS-3, a Black Prince, a regular IS against him. And so he pulls back. He wants the enemies to come at him, and he doesn't want to get flanked. He takes a look around, and his few remaining allies are dropping around him. Now his team is down by 4 kills. And you know what? If I had had this game in the JagdPanther so far, I would say, okay, stick a fork in me, I am done. 5,200 damage is simply fantastic in a Tier 8 tank. The IS-3 advances aggressively. He feels he has numbers on his side. But a 490 completely average roll from the JagdPanther, followed up by a nice bit of aggressive play, knowing that his rate of fire was better than on the IS-3, takes him out the game for his overconfidence. The first shot goes into his tank, taking out his ammo rack, which he quickly puts back into action and uses the carcass, or the wreck, of this IS-3 that he just created to evade fire from the IS. And he has to owe this Tiger a good amount. That Tiger P went in there, went ham. He's already on 2 kills himself. and took the pressure off Pingu to allow him to put his tank destroyer gun to use. Wow, that shot went in through the side of a Black Prince at a very wide angle. Must be a little bit of that, you know, British problem with its side armor. He puts in a good shot into the T-34, but finally the enemy manages to do some sizable amount of damage to him, penetrating his upper plate. And he finishes off the T-34. I'm sorry, I actually pressed my Windows key there. Oh gosh, terrible, terrible YouTuber. But he took out the T-34 knowing that he had a better rate of fire than him. Pingu 7 has done so much ass kicking this game. He's on 7,500 damage. He's actually running out of ammunition. And he hasn't been firing any of the shots blind. He's been making his shots count. He bounces the Tiger at long range, who is clearly not a Muppet, as he pulls back behind the rock. The Tiger is going to defend this position for as long as he can to allow his team to cap, as Pingu is 1 versus 3. He angles his armor, looks for a shot on the Tiger, is unable to get one. And the Tiger again is saying, well, you have to put the pressure on me. I'm not coming at you, you're a tier 8 tank destroyer. But comes round the corner, and Pingu puts in an incredible clutch shot using the auto-aim into the side, which completely changes this engagement. Now the Tiger's holding up. He tracks Pingu in position and tries to double on back to be able to get some side shots into his track. But thankfully, Pingu has a repair crew. And if he didn't have a repair crew, he would be 100% dead there. Why it's so important, especially in your non-turreted tanks, to have a very good repair crew. Now this game is on. He is against 2 opponents, an IS and a T-29, 2 tier 7 tanks, an American and a Soviet. And he has 21 seconds to be able to make it back to the cap circle for the enemy team win. He's in contention of a Radley Walters here, and possibly the best JagdPanther II game of all time. He pops over the ridge. The T-29 was waiting for him and puts a shot into his lower plate, but he manages to interrupt. The enemy tanks have got quite a lot of hit points, but luckily it looks like the IS is either tunnel visioning or he's gone AFK. He was probably thinking, my team will win this, the JagdPanther will die, as he bounces the T-29 and puts in a meaty shot with his second to last, his penultimate shell of the game. What an absolutely ludicrous game here. Pingu was 1 opponent away from contention of a Kolobanov's medal. But even a Kolobanov's medal pales in comparison to the 9,000 damage that Pingu was able to do in his tier 8 tank destroyer. That is over 8 times the hit points of his vehicle. That is simply crazy. And if Pingu keeps playing like that, then he will be getting his 9th gun barrel mark very soon. This was a near flawless example of what the JagdPanther II is capable of. The Ferdinand probably wouldn't have been able to make it back to the cap circle to interrupt. And unless the Borsig player was very skilled at being very sneaky, it wouldn't have had the armor to be able to weather the shots from all of those tier 7 and tier 8 tanks to be able to survive, to dish out the damage, to win the game. Pingu 7, thank you so much for this replay. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it really makes me want to go and try and hunt down a mastery badge in this tank, which I have to admit has been evading me. So I will be giving this replay a very firm thumbs up. What a fantastic replay on the QuickyBaby.com website. Pingu received 80,000 credits and 2,477 experience for this game. But wait, this was without a premium account. Are you kidding me? Is that really? It is. 2,477 base experience. A result such as that would be stupendous in a light tank. Pingu 7 has had a game of mythical proportions here. He hit every shot he fired, 9,300 damage done. His armor held up. The potential damage he received was 5,560, and he also did some spotting damage, 1,419 points of detecting, enabling him to achieve a steel wall, unsurprisingly, a defender medal, the high caliber, and one of the best, a Radley Walters, 1 kill away from a Pools medal, and 1 opponent away from a Call of Battles medal. Just to reiterate, Pingu7, thank you so much for sending me this replay, the best one I've ever seen in a Tier 8 tank destroyer. And if you guys enjoyed this video as well, please consider liking the video down below, it really helps the channel out. And if you want to see more Tier 8 German tank destroyer gameplay, then click up here and you can see a full tank review on the Rheinmetall Borsig. And let me know in the comments down below what you think about the JagdPanther II and how it weighs up against the Ferdinand and the Rheinmetall Borsig. Do you think that it's a tank that's often forgotten about? And do you think it's maybe underestimated? After seeing this, I'm definitely going to be playing a few rounds in the JagdPanther II in the live stream tonight. Anyway, as always guys, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic and hopefully I'll see you soon.